No, I'm in Château Petrus with Olivier, who makes the wine, and we're going to talk a little bit about the vintage, maybe, which would be good.
Yes. Yes, I have to talk about the vintage. So from 11 is a very original vintage in terms of climate. We had a very dry, warm spring, so that explains we had a very huge concentration in tannin in the grapes for the harvest. And then after the summer, two things to remember about the summer 11. We came back to classic average rainfall and temperature, but the key point of the summer 11 is the lack of sun. We are missing between 120 and 150 hours of sun during the summer 11. So that explains why we had to postpone our harvest by 2 weeks comparing with what we saw during the flowering season in 11. So the 11 vintage is a vintage with a lot of tannin and also a huge capacity, good structure, but we have to be very careful in our extraction process to do not push the extraction, to do not take the raw part of the tannic structure in the berries and in the skin and in the seed. So we have to be very gentle, very precise in our vinification process to preserve the balance, to preserve the harmony of the wine. A vintage like 11, with for me a very classic vintage, more acidity, less alcohol, good structure in Petrus. If you don't get the harmony, if you don't get the balance at the birth of the vintage, it won't appear by miracle in 10-15 years.
And if you had to compare it to a current vintage, 2001,
yes,
we talked
probably.
about, yeah?
Probably because 2001 is it's a unknown vintage. His main default was to come after 2000. Maybe it will be the same problem with 11 which is coming after 9 and 10. But you have the same length, the same elegance. You've got a good harmony, very fruity, good freshness, and you find the same classicism in both vintage.
Good, well done, thank you.
You're welcome.